That's fine. Thank you, Nick. Hopefully you can hear and see me. So for me, hello. Okay, lovely. So for me, I wanted to just go over a couple of the projects we're working on across MOL and Total People. For those of you who don't know about Total People and MOL, Total People is the apprenticeship arm of the LTE group. So ours is working with apprentices, and MOL is commercial professional qualifications. So we have a different market and some different parts that we will go through. Some of these will be obviously sort of specific for what we go through, but hopefully you'll be able to take something from them. Essentially, our approach to AI, we see AI came in, and what we wanted to do was really look at what things can really help us and what can make us, what problems do we need to solve. So we went through sort of a RAD design process there where we looked at the requirements of what we need. There's lots of areas where AI could improve upon what we do, but which ones can we take forward, because we can't do everything. So we went through a process of looking at the requirements of what we need, what problems we're trying to solve, what was good for our learners, what was good for our business needs, and then followed that up with some analysis of it there, looking at tools, looking at what the solutions were. And then after that process there, then it was about the design. So we were a little bit slower to start off with, but hopefully sort of caught up as we went through and produced something that works for our models. So the first one in the requirements was related to Total People, and really about achievement rates for our learners across the board, and this is nationally across the board. Achievement rates for apprenticeships is around about 54%. So not very good across the board. You know, there's a lot of that obviously has sort of financial and business consequences, and obviously, you know, more than anything else, there's 46% of learners aren't achieving their apprenticeship, which is what they started out to do. We have government targets from the DFE to try and reach that to 67%. Still not a brilliant target, let's be honest, but it's, you know, it's a massive improvement to take that. And then looking at how and why people leave apprenticeships, some of them we can't solve, but one of the areas that we felt we could solve was about engagement and making sure while people are working, while people are doing their job and the apprenticeship along the same sides, how can we keep that person engaged and engaged in learning, because they are in the workplace for a lot of our learners. So it's not that they always come to an establishment to receive learning. So it's a different sort of challenge. So we worked with our ePortfolio and became a development partner with them, and developed a product called One File Engage. What we looked at was all the data that was within our ePortfolio, all the data that was in our LMS, and said, there's patterns of behavior that we know when we look at this on an individual level that can dictate that learners have become disengaged within a program. And then it was about how we can actually use that data in order to help our learner coaches and help the learners identify that. And then what can we do about it and what can we do with that? So the process map that we've got here is we've got all the data that goes into One File Engage there. And then you've got the AI tool, sort of the machine learning aspect of that, where it's noticing those patterns of outcomes, those patterns of behavior, and producing us a risk rating against that learner. Okay, these are all based off metrics of what we've added in. So what do we consider at risk? So we had a big program with our curriculum performance managers to say what's an at-risk area, what gets you worried, what's those parts there, and put them into data. They develop then patterns of outcome patterns that we can then use. Following on from those, what we can then do is then start to use some engagement tools. So these are both engagement tools that are human and also ones that are computer generated. So we're using areas like sending people emails, sending people prompts, you know, basic nudge theory approaches just to remind people, say, oh, look, I've noticed you haven't logged into your portfolio for X amount of days, weeks. Here you go, this is what you need to do. So just that little reminder for people, because again, the market we work in there is not that people necessarily don't want to learn, it's the job takes over what they're doing. So using the engagement tools and using those prompts either via an email, via text message, and what we're going to hopefully start to link into is WhatsApp. just to try and give them that prompt to say, please come and, sort of go onto the portfolio. There's learning there for you. And then hopefully the curriculums that we have, then we'll take them through the process. The aim is, again, to get that interaction, get them back on track with programs. The other aspect of it is then to link in some what we call micro interactions. So, doing an assignment, doing a load of work is good, but also some of the parts that we need to get them to do is sign a document, just to click on to sign a review or to do something really minor, really just let us know that they're okay. And that's what we're classing as micro interactions. So with the micro interactions, the ability to link in, sending them a text message, sending them a part to say, can you sign this? And then that to be a signed document from them, then updates the system. We can then sort of maintain that interaction with them, then maintaining on program, as opposed to what happens with us is they go onto breaks in learning because they haven't interacted with their apprenticeship for a period of time. And then one of the future aspects of that is, can that be gamified? Can we use sort of the theories of gamification then to try and support that, to try and encourage learners to go on more and use that as a process of to support their learning? In general, that's where we're hoping to do, to get them to basically engage back in with their process for it. How that looks from a system point of view, okay, is you come onto your dashboard. So this is from a learner coach point of view. We can then start to see that our risk ratings of our learners there. Again, it's then to try and highlight and prompt and trying to get people out of being a risk, not to try and say everyone's a risk or part of that. It's actually to say they're running at a level to get a risk, and then because trying to stop the learner from being overfaced with information. We can look at then the recent interventions of what's happened. Again, that's very important for our parts there. And then what we'll have is watches or metrics, these parts there, of saying what's important to us as total people in order to say, well, are learners at risk of leaving the program or dropping out of the program? And then there's an example of some of the potential for the text messaging parts there. Can you sign this? Yes, right, great. And really quick stuff, because one of the things we found through linking with learners is sometimes logging into a system is a barrier. It's like, oh, I'll do that in a minute, I'll do that later. So having that ability to use the mobile phone a lot more, text messaging and aspect should hopefully quicken up those processes. Then we start looking at well, we have those interactions. What works for that learner? So an email. A lot of young learners these days, email is not the best way to contact them. They're very old. So is it a text message? Is it a physical intervention? Is it getting into contact with the employer? What is working to get that person to basically get back into learning? What works? And that could be an aspect of time. So it could be actually the best time to contact that person is 6 o'clock in the morning. That's when we get the engagement. It could be 6 o'clock at night. So when is the best time? All of that, that's where the machine learning part takes over and says, actually, this is the best time to send that text message. That's the best time to send this email or make that contact. And then what that provides for us as learning coaches and what it provides us as staff is then data-driven insights to say, well, actually, we need to this is the person you need to contact. You need to get in contact with our employer. And then the human side of it there, because the best interaction is the human one. So, and this then helps us prompt it, time it, and hopefully reduces the risk of that learner dropping out. In terms of deliverables, this is what it went live in October, so we're still in the early stages of it there. But we've got risk ratings for all our learners. We've got risk ratings for all our learners, which then we're going through that process now of ratifying those and saying, right, how good is that machine learning and all that editing part of it all to make sure that we're confident in those risk ratings. The recorded aspect of the learners' interactions and the successes of those interactions is happening now, so we're gathering that data up, and for us it's giving us that greater visibility of a learner at risk of leaving. It's cutting through those lots of spreadsheets, lots of data to produce something that's really digestible at every level of learning, and then it provides us those greater support opportunities. So it's then allowing our learner coaches to give greater support in the right times to the right learners. and uses those nudges at convenient times to support the learners. So it's a really exciting project that we're involved in, and is aimed to reap quite good benefits. So that's one file engaged for us. On the other side of it,
you got about a minute, Gav, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Sorry.
I only need 30 seconds on this one for you. So on the other side is Symphasia. So what we've got here is we using videos to talk through the delivery process right there. What we noticed was there was a lack of diversity in what we delivered because of voices. We're all Manchester based, so we all had a very northern Manchester accents for it. What we then were able to do was create, and I'll finish on this 30 seconds, Nick, if you give us it, what was that?
Yeah, please do.
Hopefully.
This role play emphasizes key coaching techniques, including active listening, the GROW model, and establishing an action plan while promoting an open dialogue between the manager and team members. It allows participants to...
So as you can see from that video, and I'll share that in the chat for you, is with that video, what we're able to show is we were able to write the script for that. We're able to select the characters for what we do. We've got 230 avatars to do. And from a product making point of view, reduces the editing time of what we to do. So if there was a mistake made, and we've had mistakes made there, the re-editing time is we just have to change a word, not re-record everything. We've implemented over 100 videos and had excellent customer feedback, internal and external, and won awards for it. So it's going really, really well. So there we go. There you go, Nick. That was my 30 seconds for that.
It was. Thank you. I'm glad we got that last bit in. That was really good.